time to listen to our chief guest. Today, on the day we are talking about SDG5, we have a very special person as chief guest. She is Dr. Amina Ali. She is the founder of Federation of International Gender and Human Rights. Dr. Amina Ali is a neuropathic doctor specializing in obstetrics and gynecology. She has been in organic medicine, home birthing, and maternal education of women for the last 29 years. In 2018, she was appointed as a special envoy to UN Women Gambia with an accepted NGO CSO dossier for rural women's maternal health care access and offers solutions for our elders to be able to age in place through her efforts as a member of the Global Alliance for the Rights of Older People. She is the 2019 US representative for the International Model UN Association and the newest member to the International Human Rights Commission in Geneva, where she serves unrecognized sovereign tribes, undocumented international culture, stateless, landless, and countless oppressed and displaced indigenous people around the world. In July 2021, she received an assignment as a member of Parliament 6th Region for the African Union, representing the African Continent Mission through IDO Network, and she was appointed as a special consultative status as the Director of Women's Empowerment for the UN Department of Economic and Social Council, Northern Citizen Community Board. She has been inspiring us at DCPIT from the time she spoke at our Global Women's Business Summit in 2020, and she has been a great support to DCPIT from then on. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Amina Ali. Over to you for your address.
Thank you so very much. Welcome, everyone. Thank you, dignitaries, diplomats, ambassadors, high-ranking officials, and those that are given great respect in this high-level acumen that we're at today. I am Dr. Amina Ali. I am the founder and CEO of the Federation of International Gender and Human Rights, where we work to sustain the mobility and the dexterity of the upward-moving, socially mobile, and human rights advocacy of women, especially in rural and indigenous areas. And today we're going to be speaking about the social and strategic planning that we need for moving forward in Sustainable Development Goal 5, which is gender equality. We've developed a 4-point task that we're asking each and every one of you to understand as you move forward in your work and your solutions to bring a humanistic approach to this great trial that we have in society. And the 4 points are not in any particular order, but they are something that we need to ask that people sustain in their planning, especially their strategic planning for the social gentrification that we're looking for. So we're going to mention these 4 in no particular order, but we are going to ask that each of you begin to develop what it is that you're doing around these points so that we make sure everyone is on the same page and we're speaking in a voice that is unified and specified for each person offering a solution. Okay. So the role, we're going to talk about role, duty, responsibility, and the gentrification, which is the natural and human resource. So there are 4 points that we're going to speak about very quickly, but it's something I think that we need to begin to model as far as putting it into our diagrams of solution. Okay, so the first one is role. What is your role in ending this plague we call as gender inequality? Your role is your job, and this is the function that you play in a certain situation. So what are you good at? What are you able to do? Are you able to speak in forums? Are you able to write policy? Are you able to lead a group to better understand how it works corporate-wise? What are your talents? This is what your role will be. So rather than try to put it in a block that you have to be in the UN or you have to be in the AU or you have to be in EU or any kind of great Goliath firm, we want to make sure that you understand that gender equality is achieved at the most micro level. We're not even talking about macro and meso, at the most micro level. These are things that you're doing in your society, in your community every day. These are things that you take to task every day, speaking about it when you see it in the business space, to if you're in a grocery store and you hear and you see someone being treated, if you're seeing them being treated unequally. These are the things that you need to speak up for on the smaller levels, and that will resonate a voice that gets wider on the meso and the macro level. The next one is duty. The duty is the task. This is the action word. This is the verb. This is the action that you are to perform. So what are you able to do? So many people come to me and ask me, Dr. Ameena, I want to help you in what we do in SDG5. I also work in SDG11, which is reducing the inequalities. SDG10, reducing the inequalities. SDG11 is the sustainable community. So I work in those three sustainable points on a daily basis. And I have quite a few people that come to me, whether it be on social media, whether it be in person, asking how they can remain focused on the goal and do work that is meaningful. And I think that's a great question. I think so many people want to do work, but they just don't know how. This is a new topic. It's very in vogue. It is something that has come to the forefront of people realizing that this is happening too much, too often, and too long in the world, and they're needing help. So the duty that I tell them to do is speak up. That's the first thing. Speak up. So if you're on social media, say something about it. If you see a story in the newspaper, drag and drop it to your social media page, speak about it, let people know your viewpoints on it, and then get the conversation going. That's going to develop your acumen in what it is that topic is about. So if we're talking about job discrimination or something that we were talking about the other day, when we were talking about women's leave, when they have babies, why do women have to sacrifice their job just to have a family when men are equally responsible in that partnership, yet they can have all the time that they need, they get the same pay, they don't lose their job, all of the things that we know to be true and right. And we see that so often. Well, we need to speak up about it. As a woman that was in the medical field, as a woman that had children and tried to retain her job, I speak very powerfully on the voice of women not having to choose between having family and taking care of your responsibility in the professional world. And I made a great point often by saying that one has absolutely nothing to do with the other. It's almost like taking off for a cold. You don't lose your job for having a cold. So why are we losing our jobs for having babies? It's similarly, especially with COVID, it's 15, 20, 25 days that we're off because we're ill. Same thing, we're off 4 and 6 weeks. Why is it any different when we have children versus when we're physically ill? So we're looking at how you can actualize this task. And then the third point is responsibility. This is the moral or legal obligation to the duty and role. So many people just, you see it on the social media, stay in your lane and mind your business and all of the things that we see on social media. And that's so very unfortunate. These videos that are going viral saying that I need to mind my business and stay in my lane and all, it was a time when it was almost at the level of a plague where you see people getting into other people's business. I remember people be using the word expert so many times, and I'm the expert in this and the expert in that. And they were taking on these titles because they want people to believe, whether it be through ego or pride, that they were the foremost voice for certain things. And then professionally, we stopped using that word because we realized to use expert is egoic. You're not an expert in this because there's always somebody out here that's bigger, greater, longer, has more virility in this title. So we want to say certain things as a responsible reply to these things. We want to have a moral or legal obligation to this by just beginning to tell the story and speak from your voice. I cannot take away your experience. You cannot take away mine. But the responsibility is not to overstep someone else's by trying to make sure that your voice is the voice that's heard. This is a social obligation that I've seen so many people in so many of the Goliath firms. They even title them expert in gender equality. And then it's men. How are you an expert in gender equality and you're just one gender? So you're seeing this as a foregone conclusion that this is not going to work. So we want to gather a responsibility and an ethics to this, doing what it is that you can where you are and not trying to overshadow other people. This is where I think there is going to be a great continuum of offering in this. And this is where I think we're going to begin to see a great unfolding where everyone is doing what's needed in their community rather than what they want people to see in their prowess. And number 4, of course, we have to realize in the strategic planning that there is a natural and human resource. Now, the natural resource, of course, is keeping it green, keeping it more in the lines of sustainability. So if we're using technology, we're trying to lessen our footprint. If we're using resources in the community, as far as natural resources in the community, we're going to replace as much as we use. And we're going to use this ideology to begin to replace and maintain these communities. we're not going to have a community to live in as a people if our resources in it are depleted. So we know that climate change is a real big thing, and I put it in all of my speeches now. And I know that whatever it is that we can do, we can replace what it is that we fix. If we're supposed to be these experts, then why are these problems still existing? And if we're supposed to be the solutionists in all of this, whether it be a futurist, whether it be a humanist, why are there still people dealing with these trials and tribulations? Why isn't your voice in those circles being ready for the solution? And then in the human resource, which is the last part of this, the human resource is asking us to see who we are as a people. We have to level the playing field. If we have to see equality, we have to see each other as equal. We have to stop playing the card of I've been doing this longer, so I'm the foregone expert, or because I have been the majority in society that I have the answer. And we do that single story where we have someone else of another race or creed speak for another race or creed. And then they speak as though they are intertwined into the community and then intertwined into the lifestyle of the people. I had a conversation the other day where a young lady that was from a European country, she moved to Morocco because she married her husband, who was Moroccan. And she moved to Morocco and they were married, I guess, 2 or 3 years. And I remember seeing her after, I believe it was after the divorce. And she was only there like 3 years. And she labeled herself an expert in the Moroccan culture. And I'm looking at this little label that she has at the bottom of her screen, and I'm thinking, how can you do that? I remember when you went to Morocco, and that was like before the pandemic. Now all of a sudden you're a foregone expert in the Moroccan culture, and she wants to be labeled that way, and it was heartbreaking to say the least. But we have to begin to see that the expert that we have, or the expertise that we have, is inbred, it's organic, it's natural, it's humanistic. But it doesn't have to be a label that lessens another voice. So the humanistic resource, or the human resource that we have, is our own voice, the power of our words. And we have to speak truth to power so that we understand where we stay in this, and what we say in this is more powerful than anything that we want to gender as a reasoning for power. This is a power struggle, but it's a power within us. And it's a struggle for us to see who we are and where we are, right where we are. And therein lies the solution. The person that is closest to the problem is always closest to the solution. And we need to begin to empower them. So role, duty, responsibility, and the natural and human resource is a great tangent to put into any back plan that we have and any foreplan that we have for the future. I thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amina Ali, for that inspiring session. As always, we all have been your fans. And thank you so much for joining and for all the support you have been providing to GCPIT. Thank you. Okay. And with this, we have come to the end of our opening session. We'll be back with after a short break. Thank you so much.